What is up, guys? Tonight I have decided that I will do something that I haven't done in a little while, and that is going over questions that are like survey questions or something, and then I go through them and I answer them. And I wanted to make sure that I have a list handy that's not repetitive of stuff that I have answered in the past. So if you're curious where I got this from, it is from a website called, what is it called? Oh crap. Well, it's called Mentelligence, but I don't see why a female wouldn't be able to participate in this little survey. So, anyways, let's see. One of the first questions, or I guess I should say the first question that this starts off with is, where do you like to go when you eat out? And I'm already having problems with this question because I guess I must confess that I can be that person who you can ask, where do you want to eat? And I never know where the fuck I want to go. I'm thinking if it's you coming up with the plan of going out to eat and it's your invitation, you should have it together. But at the same time, I'm glad that you're asking me where I feel like going out to eat, because maybe you're going to be that person who that I'm not wild about seafood, and then you have the brilliant idea of maybe to be impressive or something, you say, yeah, let's go get some seafood. And if anybody tells me they're going to get some seafood when they know that I'm somewhat allergic to some stuff, we're gonna have problems. But anyway, to describe my preferred places, I like to go to places that have a very small menu, because if I go somewhere that has a small menu, it tells me that this kitchen likes to specialize on a certain cuisine, and therefore they are less likely to give me a crappy experience. Whereas if I go to a place, there are places like this that have over 100 items in the menu. You might think, amazing, this place has everything you could possibly dream of. But can you really hire a chef who's going to be good at everything in a place that's like a low wage place? Like, I'm not trying to crap on entry level jobs like fast food places or anything that pay you the minimum wage, but I'm just saying that you are less likely to find someone who can master all of these recipes, because let's face it, you may be really good at making a burger, but you may not be the greatest person cooking chicken, and it happens. So I personally like to spend the extra couple of dollars going to somewhere where the food is going to be local and your menu is centralized around something, because I know it's going to be a good experience. But 90% of the time, I am in the mood for a burger. I love me a burger. And there's this place in town that is so fancy and it's so nice and it's great. And I have yet to have something bad from there, but I don't go there often. And I have wanted to make a video on that so bad, just to tell you guys how it is that I build my dream burger. But I have to set a budget aside for that because it is a little on the fancier side. But I will bring my dream burger video. So you guys are just going to have to sit tight and wait. And I'm going to make sure that it is absolutely worth your time, because I am very passionate about the way I build me a burger. So, anyway. Um, so let me catch up with the comments. Hey Viking, good day from a non-burned to a crisp part of Australia. Oh man, yeah. I have been meaning to create a little bit of a topic acknowledging the fact that that's happening, because every time I go on Twitter nowadays, that's all I see, and I am glad that this is finally something that the news are catching wind of, because I'm thinking, okay, this thing has been going on for a while, and it is definitely affecting some people. There is someone who I know who lives out there, and he was telling me that, it narrowly missed his area, and I'm like, holy crap, you never really think about it like that until someone who you know is being affected. So I just really hope that this thing doesn't really turn into what someone was telling me, that this may become the new norm during the summer. And I really hope that's not the case. But good to see that you're doing well. And Garuda changed his "Hello, my sister" message to "Hi, my queen." And I am so happy to see that you retracted your message, because that was weak. Nah, I'm just playing. Hello, good to see you. I always like what my lady of interest likes to eat and what she does not like. I will do some research, then surprise her with food she might like. I am in love with her, so I want to adventure. I make a mean turkey or cow burger. Yo, turkey burgers are the way to go, but I have to try the bison burger that they have at this place that I was just talking about. And until I try that, I cannot say that turkey burgers are my all time favorite burger. I get a feeling that this bison burger might be something from another planet, because I love bison, like ground bison especially, is amazing. So I'm thinking, in burger form, from the place that I already love, it can only be nothing but good news. So I'm gonna try to get that put together and then create a topic about it. And then you guys will get to probably see my live reaction to me having a bison burger for the first time. So, yeah, I'm excited because my burger, let me tell you about my burger. It is. I'm not going to spoil it. You know what? I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to wait until I put this video together, and then you know exactly what kind of cheese goes in there, because I'm very particular, what kind of bun I use because I'm very particular, and just everything. I promise you that when it comes to my burger, I am a diva. So you're just going to have to wait. I'm going to try to have it out within a month. I don't see why I couldn't do that. Um, Chronicles of Killzone says, "Hey girl, hi. Let's see. When you get around to making the video, you might want to check the couple of images I tweeted about it." Have I seen that? I feel like I saw something. Now I feel bad because I cannot remember, but I feel like I saw some images. But all right, yeah, at least I just want to mention it, and we can officially have the Australia is burning video, because I think that this is something that should be discussed, especially for me. This is particularly intriguing because when I was in high school, I took advanced placement environmental science. I did not take the exam, the AP exam, but my teacher was insisting that I did so much, and I said, "Doc, just know I have been bullshitting my way through success in your class, but I'm actually not very good at the numerical aspect of environmental science." But it's a topic that really matters to me a lot, because if you guys know me for a while, you guys know that geology and meteorology would have been the things I would have gone to college for. So definitely, a topic like that, I'm really not sure how to go about it, but I guess the best thing I can do is just mention, hey, this is happening. Hey, this is how I know that people are suffering. This is the species of animals that it's affecting, and, the consequences of it. But I'm not really sure that I'll get very political or very scientific with how all of this goes about, but at least just have the discussion open, because in this channel, we talk about everything. And sometimes it's nice to just bring up matters that are actually affecting people. So, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. Um, let's see. Where am I at? Hi, Zamri. Hey, Jordan. Climate change terrorists started the fire. You guys ever hear about something called HARP? So apparently, like, don't quote me on this, but I forget how it goes, but I think it's HAARP. It's supposed to be some kind of technology that, of course, the elite have, that it can actually alter the weather. And apparently, with the way you can alter the weather, you can also alter people's moods. So you can go from being a perfectly happy person to being a completely depressed, destroyed wreck. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. But at the same time, if it's some kind of conspiracy, I'm all about conspiracies. So, yeah, sure, tell me that harp is a thing. But maybe the meaning of harp has been twisted by people who come up with their conspiracies and whatnot. Maybe it is a form of controlling the weather, but it has nothing to do with that. But at the same time, if you have the capacity to control the weather, why would you allow for, say, let's say Australia? Why would you allow for such a huge chunk of it to get destroyed by fires if you have the ability to control the weather? I'm not saying that Australia has this technology, but say when we had our fires going on in California, why would you allow for so much damage to take place? Maybe because you know that the people who were in this area were folks who more than likely have insurance, and therefore you just want to stimulate the economy by having all these claims being filed. You know, so that's why I don't want to get too deep and too crazy on a matter like that, because like I said, I haven't really corroborated that this is the truth, that this is a thing. This is something that I only heard about some 3 years ago, and it's not like I actually researched this. So I'm not sure what to tell you, but at the same time, I live in like the most suspicious government ever, like in the country with the most suspicious government ever. And unfortunately, I don't trust my government. So anything that sounds crazy, I'm like, yep, that is absolutely true. Even if the person saying it is completely full of shit, I'm probably sold on it. but but yeah, when it comes to the weather, um, in my environmental science class, I remember mentioning to my teacher why cloud seeding isn't something that we practice most often. And cloud seeding, in case you don't know, and in case I do not remember it very well, which I don't, I know that you take silver and you pretty much throw it on a plane, and somehow you can stimulate cloud formation. But the problem is that performing this is actually pretty expensive. So the technology to sort of artificially induce clouds in the atmosphere is there, but it's not something that maybe can be applied on a wide scale, because I guess it's just expensive and the real tech is not there. Like, it has been done, it's just that to cover a wide area, I guess it's not something that has been developed yet. But there are techniques out there when it comes to triggering something up in the atmosphere, but it's just not widely practiced yet. I am actually in the process of reinvesting a burger, all natural from meat, veggies, and greens. Happy Monday. I never had bison meat before. I did have a lot of elk burgers and the elk jerky before. I cannot say I have messed with elk, but I cannot even begin to imagine what elk tastes like. I hope that it's not one of those like animals that are not allowed in certain diets, because I do have religiously based diet restrictions. So I would have to look it up, but I'm not sure that elk is something that is allowed, but I don't know. I don't know. I have to look it up. Bison, if bison is as good as elk, sign me up. Well, I have not tried elk, so I cannot tell you. What I can tell you about bison is that it is a leaner version of beef. It's similar to beef, but it has a richer flavor than beef. I know my description is not helping you at all, but I just know that when I eat bison, I definitely break it down better than beef. And from what I understand, bison is actually better for you than beef. So that should be an incentive to go out of your way and get it. And it is expensiver than beef. But I promise you that it is a good investment. It's usually about $2 more expensive by the pound than than beef. Eddie Do, someone says salve parsa. I heard bison meat is amazing. That's because it is. And it says falando. Oh, I don't know what that means. Viking says, yes, I have heard of HARP. Our fires, however, have a high percentage rate of being started by firebugs, about 85% of them. I heard something about arson and also something about people who are not mindful about, say, if the air is really dry, then maybe it's not a good idea to be out there messing with flames and whatnot. But I may also be mistaken that for the California fires. But at the same time, it can have similar causes because when California gets extremely dry, which is pretty much year round, then they're more prone to fires. But yeah, I think people need to become more aware about what they're doing when they're out because the environment is so delicate and you really don't know about it until something major happens. And I remember seeing this one clip of, I don't know if it was a gender reveal celebration or something, but I know that they were in a place that had a lot of brush and something about fireworks going off and to reveal the gender of the baby. And then, of course, a lot of things ended up catching on fire. And they didn't have the decency of telling the local authorities that this had happened, probably because they didn't want to suffer the consequences, but they had an incriminating video. But anyway, I think that caused another major fire that completely got out of control. But yeah, I'm thinking the quicker you report something that's getting out of control, the better, because I know that some of it has to do with the weather too. Like if you have lightning striking in a certain place, then yeah, there's not much you can do about lightning. It's not like you can reason with lightning and be like, hey man, don't you strike my trees, because you're gonna set this place and send it to hell. But yeah, there's some stuff that people can absolutely prevent, or if you cannot prevent it, at least keep it contained. The thing about fires is they become really hazardous when they get out of control. So if you can somehow contain it, then everything will be fine. But it just shows how delicate the environment is. That never ceases to blow my mind. 500 million animals died. So sad. It's like fires in LA. Never rains up there, but people in Michigan houses caught fire because their gas bill is off, trying to turn gas on themselves. Huh. Now that I think about it, I've only lived in a house that had gas, like, as your source of heat once in my life. And I remember being so scared of it because I kept hearing people telling me how the many ways that this thing can catch fire. And I'm like, how is this not illegal? But when you're a kid, what are you thinking about? But I think that gas stoves, I have never ever cooked in a gas stove. And I wonder if it's really different from the electric one. I would imagine that it is, like the rate at which something heats. But I don't know. I'll have to try it. I never really thought about it like that. Viking says, speaking of cloud seeding, we have an ongoing experiment with it being done in my area. We have high rainfall due to it. Awesome. What's the cost like? Is that something that is a struggle, or have you been finding a way of making it more efficient? And this is, mind you, this is me discussing cloud seeding. And the last time I really dealt with the topic, it was like 12, 13 years ago. So I'm not sure where it's at these days, but that's cool. That is really cool. Zamri, people can manipulate the weather, but no one can control the weather. You can trigger a place to have rain, but you cannot control what happens after that. Floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes can never be tamed. True that. Zamri, what does bison taste like? Crocodile, goat, lamb, or chicken? All food I ate. Um, well, I cannot say I have had crocs. I cannot say I have considered it. Goat. My experiences with goat meat is I tend to chicken out from it because it has like a really heavy taste, if that makes sense. And unfortunately, I'm that person who is very picky, and I don't like bones with flesh, meats and stuff. I'm just really lazy. I don't like it in my bird meat eater either. So so yeah, if it's not boneless, I'm not messing with it. But the goat that I have had, it was really bony, and I wasn't pleased. So if you can give me a boneless goat experience beyond goat cheese, all right, but goat meat, if it inherently has to have the bone to have that taste, then I'm not interested in it. But goat cheese is amazing. I love goat cheese. It's great. Goat cheese and fig goes really well. I know it sounds disgusting because trust me, in your mind it is, but this is coming from a picky eater. Fig and goat cheese is really good. Of course, you don't need to like drown it in fig, but just a little bit of that fig, like puree or something, and it goes really well. Something about it, it goes really well. It is different but dangerous. It's government backed. I see. Interesting. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to the questions just to see if there's something else that stands out here. We're gonna go over as many as we can until I succumb to slumber or until I lose connection or whatever happens. The next question is, do you like to cook? Again, food is a great conversation fodder, and you might blah 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 blah. All right. When it comes to cooking, I must admit that I am not very wowed about cooking because I am a consumer. I'm not a producer, but but I enjoy preparing foods to my liking, of course, but usually my involvement in the kitchen needs to be as limited as possible. And I like how I fix my breakfast. It's very hearty to the point that it feels like the only meal I need in my day. And then, of course, you guys have seen a couple of my videos in which I show you guys how I fix something like my oatmeal, my salmon, my ground beef. Have I made a pasta video? I don't think I made a pasta video. But anyway, and yeah, I can stick to that and never get tired of it. Maybe I'll experiment with different spices and whatnot. And of course, I have a smoothie video. That's not really cooking, but just experiences of me directly messing with food. But honestly, I just hate the kitchen environment. I just don't like it. And especially the cleanup process. I think I would rather wash the dishes than cook food. As much of a fat ass as I am. Like, I love to eat all day long, but like, I don't enjoy the kitchen environment. So it's very unlikely that I'll ever have a baking video. Like, I've never baked cookies in my life, and I don't care to. I did make bread once, twice actually, with my best friend way back in the day, but I said to myself, this is a kind of craftiness that I just do not enjoy. And it's strange because I like art, and art consists of you putting things together. You gotta have your supplies, you gotta have your measurements and whatnot. But something about me messing with food, unless it's to eat, I just don't like that. That's why I'm not really trying hard to get a job in a kitchen, like say fast food restaurants. When I was looking for my first job ever, I was willing to do anything, but if I hate cooking in my spare time, my personal time here at home, imagine doing it for a living. No. It's probably going to make me hate food as opposed to loving it. But maybe the opposite is true. Maybe if I work preparing food, then I'll have an appreciation for it greater than what I have going on right now, appreciation for food. But I don't know. I work makes me hate things that I love sometimes, and I'm so afraid that it'll do that to my perception of food. So, no. The absolute question, the absolute answer to that question is I don't like to cook. So, sorry to disappoint any of you guys, but what's sad is that when I do cook, it's fucking amazing. It tastes great. I can put ingredients together. I can put recipes together. I can just be like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be good. This and that. And recently, I rediscovered, I should say, because I didn't know that I had had it before, clotted cream. And I told myself, oh, I remember this from when I was a kid. I don't like this. So now I'm going to try to use it with like a biscuit, a southern biscuit, not an English biscuit, which for them it's their little cookies. And maybe use a spread of some sort, like a jelly, a jam, or something, and then spread the cream on it. Because I feel like I'll like clotted cream if I can sweeten it somehow. But I'm just glad that I grabbed the really tiny jar because I don't know what made me think that I was going to love it. Maybe because I was anticipating the taste of whipped cream. I was anticipating the taste of whipped cream for some reason. And I'm thinking, why do I do that to myself all the time? If whipped cream already exists, what's making me think that this completely different item is going to taste the same? So, yeah, but I get a good feeling that if I take clotted cream and I make it sweet somehow, I'll be able to mess with it. But if I have it plain like that and just spread it over a biscuit or bread or something, I know I'm not gonna like it. So I'll let you guys know what I do with it. I want to try to figure it out before I have internet intervention. Like sometimes I go to the internet and I'm like, please let me throw a lifesaver because I don't know what to do with this, especially if it's something that someone gives to me. Ooh, and to prove to you guys that I'm horrible with baking, one time my boyfriend took a tray and he made apple crisps, and he pretty much had it prepared for me. And then he said, oh yeah, all you have to do is bake it. And I'm like, no big deal, 350 degrees, right? And he said, yup. So I threw it in the oven and that shit was disgusting. Like it didn't taste cinnamony, it didn't taste like what I remember. And then I said, you set me up. Why could you not give me the fucking apple crisps prepared? Why did you put me through the baking process of it? If you're not going to show me the whole process from start to finish, like, hey, you take the little apples, you slice them like this, then you put cinnamon on them, you put sugar on them, and then you throw them in the oven and you leave them there for like 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes until they are baked, whatever. Don't do that to me. Don't semi get it done. Either get it done completely or don't give me anything. I know I'm sounding like an ungrateful bitch, but I was so upset because I was looking forward to it. First time I tried the apple crisp, I was like, huh, what is this sorcery? This is amazing. I want this again. And then, you're gonna do me like that. So anyway, I kind of resent him for that, but that's when I convinced myself that I cannot bake anything to save my life. And something about that does not upset me because I eat exactly what's necessary. I do not need to be experimenting in the kitchen. And then I feel bad because a lot of people my age actually enjoy to cook. And I'm like, I guess I need your parents or your family because I just hate it. And in my family, most everybody is super into cooking. My grandma's kitchen, absolutely legendary. My mother, she can put good stuff together as well. But me, no, no. Like, my father makes the best chicken, especially with lemon, because that man has a thing for lemon, especially lemon pastries. And I guess I inherited that because I am always gravitating toward lemony things like lemon chicken, lemon cakes. I can have lemon anything every day of my life. At Mexican restaurants, you know how they give you this tray with chips? I ask for lemons on the side and I squeeze the juice on top of the chips, sprinkle a little bit of salt, and eat them like that. And I'm thinking, why do they not give you the option of upgrading your free chips to lemon? Probably because it would be an extra step that they have to take, but ever since I do that, I'm like, I've been eating these chips so wrong. So wrong. But yeah, I thought I would share that idea with you guys, just in case you haven't tried it. I never seen you cook. One was this. My cooking videos were mostly from back in 2017. And I think I got around to creating a playlist about it, but maybe not. Maybe I only made a playlist on trying foods. But I do have the salmon one, and I think I entitled it How Zam Fixes Salmon, something like that. Then there's the oatmeal one, coconut oatmeal one, and then the smoothie one. I guess you can find that if you type Zamri oatmeal, Zamri, uh, what is it? Smoothies. But the problem with typing Zamri is that, in my personal experience, trying to feel like I'm a big deal and I'm important around here, when I type Zamri, it gives me the fucking Toyota Camry. And I'm like, no, I am not a car. Stop giving me Camry content when I have thousands of videos, you know? So I'm kind of salty about that. But if I give you the key terms in the video title, then yeah, it may appear. And I am also going through the arduous task of tagging every single video ever because I stopped putting tags on my videos back in 2018ish. So now I am caught up to September 2018 putting tags on my videos. And you better believe that I am going to catch up to 2020. I don't know why I stopped putting tags in my videos. I guess I just got lazy. And also, I am painfully unimaginative when it comes to it. Like, what are tags? So I start putting random hashtags in there. But the whole point of me tagging my videos is so that I can remember how to search for specific videos. Because sometimes I'm like, I have this idea for a video. Have I done this before? Because when you have been doing this for years, it's kind of difficult to remember everything that you have done. And now that I'm going back and adding tags to my videos, first of all, I don't remember what the discussion was. And second of all, I'm like, this video title, what does it mean? I don't remember. So, yeah, I promise you that I'm going to refamiliarize myself with my own channel. And if I see a lot of the same thing, then I'll try to create a playlist for it so that I can look like a pro. But I don't know what I'm doing here. So, but yeah, just try to look it up like that. I know I made a ground beef video, a salmon video, and I also made one about snacks. Like, I took a lime and I squeezed it over blue corn chips and I added salt to it. And I'm pretty sure the title of that video was Snack Attack. And this was back in like 2018. Pretty sure. So yeah, have fun finding my cooking videos, but they're not tagged. So if you were to type Zamri cooking, it's probably not going to yield any results. Sorry. But I actively have a memory of the salmon video. Definitely. Because that was like 25 minutes long. And that my phone memory sucks. So I had to trim it for like 3 hours. And yeah, it was a painful video to make. But yeah, I showed you how I clean it. I show you how I cook it. I showed you everything. Fast food is the greatest. I don't like dinners at all. Too much work. Look up titty bread. It was called that in the Caribbean because of how it looks. You might have fun making that. The kind of bread that I made was rosemary. I like rosemary and I put some olive oil in it. It was amazing. I also made the one that starts with an F that's Italian. Focaccia? Focaccia? I forget. I probably know how to spell it better than how to say it. But I remember it being cheesy. Right? Anyways, it was flat. It looked flat. I can tell you that much. And maybe it was cheesy and you can also add herbs to it. I guess imagine a flat version of the Italian herbs and cheese at Subway. But I don't remember. This was way back in 2013, so my memory about it is kind of vague, but yeah, it works. Hey Zamri, do you live in Texas? I don't. I live in the East Coast. And my exact location to this day is a mystery. I mean, even though I pretty much have hinted it throughout, but I have never actively said where I am situated. Nothing wrong to cook. Cooking is about learning, just that most people don't have the time to cook. That's mostly my issue, honestly. Sometimes I think about the kind of days that I have, and I'm like, what? You're trying to tell me that I have to slave away to nourish myself? No! So, in a sense, my biggest issue is anything that resembles work, I try to avoid it. But on my days off, I am cooking my life away. Like, I was off for 3 days in a row last week. I cooked every single one of those days. And I was happy and I could feel how better nourished I was. I was not having stomach issues. I have even been able to see how I'm starting to lose weight again. I'm going to get fit and look great like I used to. And I also feel more energized. I'm not having trouble sleeping unless I have my skin issues in which I start itching like crazy, but that's unrelated. But but yeah, I just love it. It's like streaming. Sometimes I am away from streaming and I'm like, ugh, streaming. Ugh, how can I do that? I'm crazy. I'm antisocial. How can I handle it? But then when I get around to it, when I get the momentum going, I'm like, Oh, I love to stream. Why don't I do this more often? What is wrong with me? Why am I tripping? So, cooking is the same. Once I get the momentum going and I'm having a good day in the kitchen, then yeah, I can do it for extended periods of time. But if I'm having a bad day, like say oil gets on the burner or I have mistakes, just kitchen mistakes, I get pissed because I'm not a very good kitchen problem solver. Put it that way. And sometimes mom helps me reheat food. I hate frozen food. I hate reheating leftovers so much. So mom is usually like, "Do you want me to help you?" And I'm like, "Yes." There is no such thing as me saying, "No, I got this," when I'm in the kitchen. Throw this girl a lifesaver. Oh man. And it's sad because cooking is so important. You eating is so important. And it shouldn't feel like, I guess, like a chore that you have to avoid at all costs. No, this is like the ultimate form of respect that you can display to your body. But for me, it's an arduous task. I hate it. Um, While I want to try your family cooks, my favorite thing that my grandmother does is her version of Chinese rice. You know how they have their pork fried rice and whatnot? Well, I must admit that bacon is amazing back when I used to eat it, but I have been eating, avoiding pork for the past 4 years now. And I have had it by accident. Like, say, it got into my food or it got contaminated, like my food was cooked in the same spot as somewhere where bacon was cooked and whatnot. So I'm not perfect at it, but I am trying to, for religious reasons, be better about it, right? But but my grandma used to put egg and bacon, and what the hell did she used to put on there, grandma? Soy sauce, of course. And she used white rice. Maybe if she made it with brown rice, it would have been so much better because I'm a sucker for brown rice. And she also added some kind of lettuce to it. Let's say iceberg lettuce. As illegal as iceberg lettuce is in my life, the consistency of it is better. Because if I were to take a bite of this Chinese rice and then I feel something crispy, although veggies tend to turn mushy when you cook them, then yeah, I might be turned off by that. But but yeah, I want to try her recipe with chicken. Shredded chicken might be really good. Not in excess, but just a little pieces of chicken here and there. And I must say that my favorite chicken, I'm not decided on entirely. I'm not sure if I like grilled better than pulled chicken. But I mean pulled chicken that has been slow cooked. And you have some kind of hickory barbecue, something southern like that. That mess is good. So I have yet to determine whether I like grilled chicken with, like, of course the grill marks on it, and maybe in like strips like fajitas, or if I like me some pulled chicken. What I like about pulled chicken is the hydration that's going on within it, the moisture. Is there anybody in the comment section who has an issue with the word moist? Because I don't. And I can say it all day long. Moist. Moist. But anyway, I know 3 people at work who hate that word, and I have become an absolute bully about it. So I want to get to know you guys a little better and see if you guys hate the word moist. I don't have issues with it. Um, let's see, where am I at? Hi, is Zamra your real name? Nope. And do you pronounce it with a Z or with an H? Z. And oh my god, you just reminded me of that one time when the comment section was calling me Hamry, and I had so much fun that night. I was cracking up. Unfortunately, I do not remember the title of this stream at all. We might need to ask Jimmy, because I know that he was definitely grilling me in the comment section. But there are people out there who pronounce the X like a J, or like a J in Spanish, or like an H in English. And I don't know where they got that from, but if I see an X, I always say the Z sound, because that's how I associate the sound, you know? So I don't know where people get the H sound from, or like the J sound in Spanish. Maybe that is your alphabet, but I think it's weird because if you have a letter that is designated to make that sound, why would you duplicate it? You know? So I know someone explained it to me. It was probably my high school Spanish teacher, but I never associated it very well. But yeah, it's Zamri. And no, it's not my real name. It really came from the fact that I like the name Camry, like the Toyota Camry, and my name just so happened to start with an X in real life, so I said, I'm going to be fucking Zamri forever online. In real life, I don't go by Zamri at all. I go by Zam mostly. Um, but yeah, that's not my name. That's not my name at all. Um, where am I at? I think I have a flaxseed that just loosened itself. I was drinking a protein shake before I started doing this. In fact, I didn't finish it. Yeah, I didn't finish it. Anyway, it'll probably still be cold by the time I finish. If you want to tag on YouTube, buy a thesaurus, then add all the words for what you talk about on each topic. You know what? I sort of do that already. But the only difference is that I do not have the assistance of the thesaurus. I like to see what my mind can come up with independently because I am fairly confident that I possess this vast vocabulary. But then when I start the stream and go live, it's like I have absolutely no sense of, I have no common sense, period. Like I forget my vocabulary, I forget dates, I forget my age, I forget everything. And I'm like, why am I such a horrible speaker? If I can write and write endlessly, and I have this great vocabulary, why is it that when I'm speaking in public, all of that just goes to hell? This is not a stressful thing for me to do. Now, if I were preparing a speech, sure, let me have a script to assist me. But I just think it's weird how my vocabulary is not as good when I'm speaking, whereas when I'm writing, I'm a completely different person. The one who's writing is the real me, but when I'm sitting here and speaking, I'm like, oh, I guess I need to practice my interpersonal skills a little better. But anyway, um, just don't tag words that are not related to the video. Oh yeah, nah, I never do that. I would never be that person. Cooking is fun except when it's a chore. I cannot do it every day. I think I would be better at it if I had more support in the kitchen. Like say, honey, well, this is cooking. Can you do the dishes for me? Or I try to do that. Like if I have dishes that come from snacks or something, while stuff cooks, I start cleaning those dishes because they are not as bad as the pots and pans and all that greasy mess. But sometimes I just don't want to be on my feet. And the kitchen is not exactly a place where you can just chill and sit down and whatnot. After you're done with an 8-hour shift in which you're on your feet, you just do not want to do anything resembling work. And unfortunately, the kitchen is a form of working. Like, from what I understand, even on during the Sabbath, you're not even supposed to be cooking because it's supposed to be your designated time to rest. And that's why they say, no, you cannot cook during your Sabbath. You need to have your food prepared or something. And it makes sense. It is a form of working. But but yeah, you never impose any excuses for cooking because at the end of the day, it is so much better and you can always trust what you're preparing as opposed to going to another place where absolute strangers are feeding you. You know, I'm pretty sure that going out is not as special as when someone in the family cooks for you because they just don't know you. They don't know what you like. They're trying to please you momentarily to get your money, but nothing like your grandmother cooking for you, and she knows exactly how much salt to put in there, how much of what herb to put in there, and little things like that. It's awesome when someone gets to know you so well that they just take care of you like that. So, yep, that's why home cooking is the way to go. Not when you have a 9 to 5 and often work overtime, it is tiring. Or unless I am 5 beers or shots in, then cooking is an annoying challenge. Then adopt food, week prep meals, and easy to make breakfast foods like hard boiled eggs and canned sardines as a quick 10-minute snack. I get the feeling. I haven't had sardines like that because I'm weak when it comes to trying seafood. I can only mess with salmon, but I get a feeling that sardines are salty as hell. Are they? I know that you can probably get some that don't have any salt added, but when I hear the word can, I just think of this lake of salt. But what about anchovies? I hear that anchovies on pizza are really good, but are sardines comparable to that? Are they that salty? What do you guys think? Because I have zero experience with any of these, and I highly doubt I will voluntarily go out of my way one day and be at the store and be like, yeah, let me grab this motherfucking can of sardines. It's not gonna happen. So you guys are gonna have to inform me on that one. Um, where am I at? Oh crap, I scrolled way too far. Let's see. As a quick 10-minute snack, I have tried that, cannot sustain doing it over a long time. Wow, sounds so good, and wow, you are brave. I need to do that. No pork for 4 years. I drink nothing but water now. I have been drinking primarily water since 2009. 2010, I officially stopped drinking sodas. The last active memory I remember of having a full, like, glass of soda was when I was at this one restaurant that served burgers in my hometown. And I was like, okay, guys, this is going to be the last time I order soda at a restaurant. And you better believe me, that was the last time. I have had sips of soda since, like when I go to Zaxby's occasionally. Maybe once in a year, I may order a cup of like a drink so that I can use their little machine. They have those soda machines that have the 700 flavors in it. Like you can have Sprite, Sprite with cherry, Sprite with grape, Sprite with lemon, vanilla, this and that. What? Or Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola with fucking blueberries, lime, vanilla, all these things I have never heard of. So sometimes I get adventurous and I'm like, what are soda flavors up to these days? And son, I regret that so much. The only thing I remember that I was a little bit fond of was the cherry Pepsi. Cherry Pepsi or Coke Pepsi? Or Coke cherry. Anyway, something had cherry in it, and I said, this is rather good. And I actually remember this from when I was a kid. It's been around for longer than I think. But this machine is the devil. This machine has everything with an extra flavor. Or it can be a diet soda with like another flavor. And I'm like, no, forget you. No, I'm not going to fall for this trap. But unfortunately, I only do like shots and then I pour water in my cup and rinse it and then dump it so I can try a new flavor. Because if I do more than half a cup, I guess the sugar, it's dizzying for me because I'm not used to that much sugar. And even when I eat something like ice cream or have a milkshake, I am never woman enough to finish it these days. I have to do like parts of it at a time and then come back to it later. So I guess sugar in excess just literally poisons me. And maybe I cannot handle it. And maybe that's why I cannot handle soda. How much sugar is in a cup of soda? Isn't it like 50 grams? I know it's something crazy. It's something up there. Maybe it's more like 30. But I remember seeing a can of Pepsi and I think it said it had 41 grams. But I'm not entirely sure. Maybe more, maybe less. But it's up there. It is up there. Um, let's see. Let me catch up on my comments again. I like stewed chicken. My mom is right there holding hands with you. She makes stewed chicken all the time. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I don't like that. I don't like that. Especially if it is curried stewed chicken. Oh, if you're throwing the C word in there, you might be onto something. Because I love me curry. Curry anything is the way to go. With potato and hot peppers. Yes, X has an H sound in some languages. The way you said moist just made my man parts moist. Example, Russian. Really? You know, the way Russian is written, I don't even recognize those letters. Like, their alphabet is not really like ours. The letters look like symbols. I guess there are X's in there. I know that they have a special accent mark, but I know there's a language that has like a circle over certain letters, right? And I only know that because of my phone. You know how if you hold a vowel, it gives you like a menu of the accent marks? I was trying to send a text in French one time just to sort of brush what I remember learning in high school. And, you have the accent aigu, accent grave, and the accent squiggly line. I forgot already. Maybe I'm confusing it with something, that little C that has the squiggly line beneath it. But yeah. Ooh, and in Spanish, they have that N with the squiggly line on top of it, too. And that doesn't exist in French that I can recall. I think it's a Spanish exclusive. But yeah, outside of that, I don't recognize on what language certain letters are used. Maybe something like Swedish or I'm not sure. I am not sure. So before I say something super wrong, I'm just gonna skip it. Um, let's see. Have you tried cooking the night before your slumber? You know, my boyfriend has told me that so many times. He's always like, just make things the night before and you will save yourself the trouble of having to cook. Because like cooking is the process of course cooking something, but reheating is not as difficult as when you're cooking something. Going from raw to cooked is way different than going from cooked to hot, you know? And that's why some people like to order their turkeys pre cooked as opposed to completely raw. But for me personally, something about being in the process of reheating, I just hate it. If I'm not going to sit down and eat the food immediately, I just refuse to save it for later. And maybe that's what's killing me. Maybe if I did some more pre-cooking and then reheating it later or whatever, I would be so much better. But man, something about that, I just can't do it. Can't do it. But maybe if I had someone leading by example, I would be better about it. Have you tried cooking before? Did I read all of it? No, I didn't. When I wake up, the last thing I want to do is cook. Cooking for yourself for the morning can put you in a good mood when you wake up. You mentioned Sabbath. Do you follow any particular religious traditions? I do not. There are things that I'm just aware of that I believe in, but I cannot claim to be a Jew. I cannot claim to be Christian, Catholic, or anything. Whatever it is that I have found out about that I feel enhances my life in a way that makes sense, I adopt it and I practice it. But it's not like on Saturdays, for instance, I absolutely do not go to work. I don't do that. I still, if I get scheduled, then I go to work. I cannot say that I do not spend money on Friday nights when the sun goes down and wait until Saturday when the sun goes down to be done with the Sabbath. Like not spending money, not working, stuff like that. I don't do that. I try to avoid it, but it's not like I religiously follow that. But the thing about the diet, like avoiding pork and avoiding, like it's in the Bible, it says, thou shall not consume the things that clean up the ocean, like say shrimp and stuff. It makes sense to me because, hello, don't you think that your body doesn't come with a set of rules? And to me, it seems like the advice that this book is giving is legit. Why would you not want to practice it? And ever since I have been personally practicing some of the things that I have read about, and some of the things that people have shared with me about their religious practices, I'm like, it's legit. I feel better. So I cannot say that, of course, I am like super about it, but because I know some people in my personal life who practice that stuff and I see how much better off they are, like they lead healthier lives, I'm like, I can aspire for that. Who doesn't want to aspire for a healthier lifestyle? So so I'm sort of observing what others are up to, and I try to do some of my own independent reading. And some stuff I'm not afraid about trying. And if it works and it makes sense and I can implement it into my life, it's welcome. But I cannot say that I have an affiliation with anything. So just associate me with someone who has spiritual inclinations, but I do not identify with anything that's pre established. Hopefully that makes sense and it answers your question in a non confusing way. Um, let's see. If you are a good cook, you can cook and clean dishes while cooking without a pile of dishes. I put cooking and cleaning to a point where I have only one pot left to clean after I turn off the stove. Yep, that's exactly how my mom is. I usually cook for the same day. I have tried cooking for 2 or 3 days in advance, but I cannot do it often. Canned sardines are not salty. It has less ingredients than most canned foods. You have to salt sardines Anchovies are more on the salty side, but delicious if you add it to make your own salad dressing. I'll take your word for it. Healthy cereal are the best breakfast, and people do not have to eat meat every day. Will clams person's body down low blood pressure. Foods that are low on sodium and artificial preservatives. Yeah, I am one of those people who, when I'm out shopping, I read the ingredients label and I try to avoid anything that looks like it was made in a lab. Like, I'm, I'm telling myself, would my grandmother recognize this as food when she was my age? No, probably shouldn't mess with it. But of course, I'm not saying that they had an absolutely clean diet, like free of artificial colors, preservatives, uh, all those things. But there is some stuff out there that you just know for a fact that you shouldn't mess with, especially all that. What's that thing called? High fructose corn syrup. Like, what even is that? And from what I understand, it is super illegal in the UK, so that's telling you something. But yeah, I try to stay away from mess like that. Russian alphabet is based off the Greek alphabet, and it is called Cyrillic. Cyrillic? Cyrillic? I did not know that. It depends. Some food tastes better reheated, and some food tastes better after cooked. I actively remember having a memory of one time there was something sitting in the fridge that I reheated. And I told my mom, "Hey, mom, for the first time ever, I can relate to you when you say that reheated food tastes better than when it's freshly cooked. But I do not remember what the hell it was." I remember saying it. I remember my mom was sitting in the dining room and I was in the kitchen just having a nibble of what I just reheated. And I'm like, yo, this is good. But I don't remember what it was. But I can only remember just that one time, it being a good experience. Maybe I was extremely hungry and me being hangry just altered my perception, but I only remember saying that just once in my life. That was like some 2 or 3 years ago. Don't like missing food when working. Come on. What? The sign underneath. CC. Oh, right. That's a deal. Right. Okay. Having a slow moment there. For example, breakfast food is only good when cooked before you eat it. Things like lasagna taste better when reheated. I have had fun experiences with reheated lasagna, so I guess I can agree with that. I just don't have it often. My mother makes it probably once every 2 years or so. Just a craving. If the craving comes up and she's in the mood for it, then she does it. But yeah, I think I normally add a little bit of ricotta when I'm reheating it, just because I love cheese. I love cheese way too much. And speaking of breakfast cereals, I don't mess with them a whole lot, to be fair. Yeah, I don't. I don't. Why not just go full vegetarian, veggies and milk products and egg? Because I love chicken too much. And don't even get me started on trying to get creative with tofu. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, tofu's not gross, especially if you know what you're doing, if you know how to fix it. It's like egg. Eggs are pretty versatile, but I cannot imagine a life in which I do not eat chicken, or a life in which I do not have turkey occasionally. I like turkey better than chicken, but turkey it's not something that I go out of my way to get, although it's my favorite poultry, you know? It's weird. I just don't. But when I do have turkey, it seems to be the perfect time for it. Say turkey breast that's sliced, or say waiting for Thanksgiving to have turkey that's been prepared, like, I guess, in a serious manner, then yeah. But turkey burgers are something that I can have multiple times a year. But again, it's not something I really go out of my way for. I just don't. And it's strange because I love turkey. I mean, love it. But I don't know why. I just don't think about it regularly. Ground turkey is amazing. If the option is available, I will skip beef and get turkey instead. But if there is bison, ground bison, I will skip the ground turkey and get the ground bison instead. I'm weird like that. Let's see. Just like how Thanksgiving food is okay when it's cooked before eating, but it's 100 times better when you reheat a plate of Thanksgiving food the next day. It's true that the flavor is still there, but I'm not sure that it tastes better. Especially meaty things, fleshy things, bird stuff. Depending on how you reheat it, it's not as good. I will never forget how nasty reheating chicken from KFC was as a kid. Now, KFC is KFC, so it wasn't the best thing, but I guess my issue would be if it's dark meat or if it's the whiter skin or the whiter meat. I am not a big fan of dark meat. I must say it. So I never go for the leg of anything. Like chicken leg can go fuck itself. I never go for the leg. I'm a wing person or a breast person, but I never go for the leg. I don't know why. Something about that taste is just ugh. That's all I can say. It's just ugh. I don't like dark meat. Nope. Nope. And I am grateful that there are menus that express that. Like, let's say they have a really fancy name for some kind of plate. And I'm like, oh, I don't understand what this means. Let me read the description. And then I see stuff like dark meat, and I'm like, fuck no. But if I see something that says white meat, I'm like, that's the way to go. But are there any fans of dark meat in the comments? Please reveal your faces and let's have a conversation because I hate it. Can't mess with it. Let's see. How about Hot Pockets? Hot Pockets are okay. My brother would be the better person to ask because he messes with stuff like that. Now, the one thing that I do remember that I can mess with when it's frozen, and this probably has 7,000 calories, are the cordon bleus. But the one that I liked was the chicken and broccoli one. I'm not a big fan of back in the day when I was messing with like pork products. I wasn't wowed about that cordon bleu, like the cheese with the ham or whatever is stuffed inside of it. Not a big fan, but give me the broccoli one. I love it. But yeah, Hot Pockets, I don't go out of my way for them. It's been, let's see, it's been about 13 years since I had a Hot Pocket. Let's see, where am I at? Nah, Hot Pockets is a snack that will make you cringe on the toilet. Yeah, that too. They're not very gentle on the stomach. I like fried tofu. Herb crusted tofu, man. That is the way to go with tofu. Rosemary and a tad bit of olive oil, just a little tad bit. And just drown that mug in rosemary. Rosemary makes anything so much better. Even chips, potato chips with rosemary are amazing. But yeah, herb crusted tofu, if I see it, I will eat it. I will wear it. I will smother myself on it. But yeah, fried tofu is really nice. Have you guys heard of something called inari? It's like this fried tofu, and then it is stuffed with rice and sesame. It looks like a fucking empanada, but it's not an empanada, of course. And I have seen it at places that sell sushi. Inari, Inari. Maybe it's pronounced a little differently, but that thing is really good. Fried tofu on the outside, inside it has rice and sesame. I cannot say I can put that together in my kitchen, but if I see it around, I will buy it and make a video on the spot and show you guys. Just in case you guys don't know what that is. But if you ever see inari and the ingredients are good, like the quality of it is good, please mess with it. But the key to it is you need to have soy sauce with it to like dip it in, because I tried a nibble of it plain and it needed something. And I think it's the saltiness in the soy sauce that's what made it better. So give it a try. If you like sesame and you like rice and you like tofu, this is the snack for you. It is yummy. However, meat is a 10 and tofu is a 3 next to a Big Mac. I am a master at ground turkey meals. I make a mean turkey and zucchini noodle pasta. You know, I tried the zucchini in noodly form, and I also had the sweet potato noodles. I wasn't very wild about it, and I guess I should be because it's better. It's not as carby. It doesn't have all that gluten in there that I shouldn't have. But I cannot bring myself to make that a part of my regular diet. Like, yeah, I am using zucchini noodles to replace regular noodles. I also have not had the lo mein from Panda Express. It looks amazing, it looks good, it glows, and I considered getting it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm not wild about noodles like that. At some point, I used to eat the ramen noodles, and then I started reading up on what's in it, and I said, nope. So I haven't had any since like 2008. But it was convenient. I mean, just take some water, heat it up, take that block, shove it in a plate or a, what is it, microwavable cup. And that little envelope, you just slice it open and dispense of the flavoring in there. It was good, I'm not gonna lie, but it's too much sodium. Too much sodium. More sodium than a human should have in a day, probably. But you know, when you're younger, what do you know? You just don't think about that. I cannot eat meat with blood gives cancer. I cannot mess with stuff that's less cooked than well done. There's people who eat stuff medium and you can see that mug bleeding. I can't do that. And technically I should, because there is anemia in the family and my mother used to be really bad about it. So she had to eat her burgers pretty much. Okay, this is the patty. You throw it on the, I guess, the skillet, and then you flip it. Here, eat it. Nope, nope, I can't do that. Nope, medium rare, rare. You might as well take a bite off the cow. You know, I can't do that. I cannot stand blood on my food. I just can't do it. When ground meat is cooking, I'm like, oh, that blood, oh. But then I know that I'm about to expose this meat to the pits of hell, and it'll get better. It'll gray itself or brown itself, you know? And I'm like, yeah, this is what I need. Just all that browning. But when it's raw and pink and whatnot, ugh. And I have been to steakhouses with some monsters who I personally know inhabit this society, who ordered their stuff bloody, and I'm like, fuck you. I can't do it. I cannot even do medium well. No, it has to be well. Do a good job. Well done. You know? But yeah, I don't want to crap on people who do that, but it's I hate it. I have tried it. Trust me, I'm not sitting here uh, talking trash about something I haven't even had, right? I can't do it. Can't do it. Um, let's see. I love dark meat, so juicy and oily. Good for you, honey. Good for you. For dark meat, what about steak like a T-bone? I don't mess with that. I'm not wild about steak. Um, let's see. If I had to eat steak, I don't have a go-to place for steak. And what I don't like about steak is depending on your cooking skill, it can end with such a rubbery consistency, like really, really chewy. I hate that. Now, if you're someone who is really good at grilling, I could give you a chance because my godfather, he is a master griller. Stuff that I didn't think I could mess with, that man changed my mind. But when I'm out at a restaurant, I flip right over the page where it says steak or sirloins or T-bones, all that stuff. I don't care for it. And on top of that, T-bone, bone. I'm a boneless person. I don't like to mess with bone that much. Rosemary is a magical herb. I could sleep in a bed of rosemary. Yes, I gravitate toward rosemary so much. There was a time in which there was this bar of soap that had rosemary in it, but it sort of disappeared. I never saw it again. And yes, olive oil and rosemary makes everything better. So yeah, I love rosemary. Didn't they use rosemary back way back in uh what is it, bubonic plague Europe times? Like they had the plague mask, and in that beak part of the mask, the doctors used to like shove rosemary herbs in there in hopes that they wouldn't catch the disease and whatnot, but of course it didn't work. I think they might have used lavender as well. I think it was a blend of herbs. I know rosemary was part of it, but yeah, I love rosemary. Love it. Now, I like to use the sprinkle version of rosemary, not the actual, I guess, leaf. I don't I don't like that because it looks like it's edible, but you really shouldn't eat it. I would rather have the spice form of it as opposed to the actual leaf. Can't mess with it. Um, the trick is you have to cook the zucchini noodles in non-salted boiling water for less than 60 seconds. If more than that, the zucchini will lose its taste. To be fair, zucchini doesn't really taste like much to me. Cucumber, I have issues with. I don't like cucumber. But zucchini, I can take zucchini and dice it and be perfectly happy with life. But I would rather have diced zucchini than noodly zucchini. But I guess I'll have to take your word for it. The noodles can be that good, but say if I'm trying to have the noodles as a replacement for pasta, I cannot imagine using pasta sauce on zucchini noodles. But maybe it is good. Maybe I just have to give it a chance. But eh. I have had sweet potato noodles. I was not wowed about it. My ideal state to consume sweet potato in is mashed. Mashed with a little bit of cinnamon. You can save the sugar because sweet potatoes don't need sugar. But yeah, mashed sweet potatoes are the way to go. And then second place, sweet potato taters are nice. Like the little puffs, puffy form, those are fine. But my ideal way to consume them is mashed. And of course, way back in the day, I used to add marshmallows to it, but I can't do marshmallows because pork. But but yeah, um, I cannot do sweet potato noodles. So for now, I haven't had the best experiences with veggies being in noodle form, but I'm willing to try. I just haven't been impressed yet. But you're right, it could be all about the cooking technique. Red is good, blood is good. I only. You mean red? Red is good, blood is good. I only eat meat well done or raw. I cannot do medium cooked or medium raw. Medium just seems like you were in a rush. It's like, yeah, my intention is to cook this burger all the way. Fuck, I gotta go. So you just decide to remove it from the stove and just have it as is. And it just seems lazy to me, which I know that's not the case. Some people genuinely, that's what they need to go for. But for me personally, I can't do that. I need it well done. And people complain about things being well done that it'll be really dry or really chewy. I'm like, that's not true. You just need to know how to make it. Because most of the time, when I go to restaurants, they don't mess up my well done order. Like the taste, it's still there, everything is fine. I do know what people mean though, because I have had bad experiences with well done things, but they are so seldom that it's not even worth mentioning or really breaking it down. But yeah, well done is always my way to go. Not negotiable. Let's see. Only animals can eat raw meat. Steak is actually boring. I like fish, goat, birds, turkey and quail, and lamb. I cannot say I have messed with quail. Lamb though, ooh, I had great experiences with grilled lamb, and I also have good experiences with ground lamb. However, bison versus lamb. I must say, I need to try lamb again. My memory of it is not very recent as bison, but it is possible that I like lamb a little better than bison. But I will have to try, like, have them close in between to each other. Like, maybe today do lamb, tomorrow do bison to be able to tell you. But I know that lamb is some really nice stuff. I am sorry for the baby sheep out there, but y'all are amazing. So when I don't think about it, like it, I don't mind. But when I think about it like that, I'm like, no, I cannot eat, baby lamb. No, I can't do it. But, but yeah, surprising. I don't have an answer for that. Is lamb better than bison? I'll have to wait. I'll go back to this one and let you guys know. I need to like put it in my list. I shouldn't forget, but yeah, I need to have an answer for that because I'm curious now. I like your hair, Zambri. I appreciate it. It needs attention. I haven't done anything to it in 2 days, but keep it braided. It's definitely time for a hair wash. I have been experimenting with green noodles, eggs, and cream cheese. I cannot figure out what meat I should add. I think I might need a sweetener type of meat like lamb. I will update you on it. Please do. I am intrigued. Have you guys tried grain-free tortilla chips? Cassava. That seems to be something that wants to become the new celery. Like it just wants to take off. I've had good experiences with it. Do you guys remember that one stream if you've been around for a while? I made some kind of ASMR stream in which I was eating snacks, and one of them was actually cassava chips. And I was saying that I really liked it. It was a little on the bland side. It's not like it has this strong taste, but I was pleased. It makes a difference to consume chips that are grain free. I didn't feel as bloated. I didn't feel like I just ate something that I wasn't supposed to. It was really nice and gentle. So I cannot really explain to you guys what the taste is like. It's still crunchy, like what you're used to with chips. But yeah, what the heck can I compare that to? I cannot say I can compare it to anything. But if you ever see grain-free chips, give it a try. You might be surprised. Some people may not like it. At first, I was like, oh, I miss the corn. I miss potatoy taste. I miss, all those things. But then when I gave it another try with like, say, a lime flavor, I'm like, oh, we're onto something. I prefer lemon and salt chips over lime chips. Sometimes. Let's put an asterisk by it. I will have to review my brands to let you guys know what I am comparing it to. But off the top of my head, I tend to gravitate more toward lemon chips than lime chips. And they tend to be rare. I feel like you can get your hands on more lime products than lemony stuff. But when it comes to chips, if it says lemon and salt and I'm around, sold. Um, let's see. Sorry, I never tried that. I do eat healthy chips sometimes. I need to eat more of them. Cassava tastes like a sweet potato, but better when boiled or steamed. I cannot say I have had cassava. Isn't the alternative name for cassava yucca, or is yucca something different? I feel like they're the same thing. Let me know if they're the same thing. But I know that I have not had the actual root. Nah, I haven't. I feel like my mom has. I feel like she mentioned it one time. She's like, "Oh, I just had this cassava and it was really good. It tasted like a potato." And I'm like, I don't know why I get the feeling that you're lying to me, but your lie is not voluntary. But I have to I'll have to give it a try. But it tastes like a sweet potato. It's strange. Another thing I want to try is taro. I have had taro products. Like, you guys know, I had my little taro baba tea. I had taro chips. I had that taro frozen yogurt. But I have not had the actual root. I have not messed with jicama either. I've seen it. It looks like a potato, but I haven't messed with jicama yet. Now, I have messed with celery root, and I like it. I like how crunchy it is. Um, let's see. It's got kind of a sharp taste to it, but I remember liking it raw. I thought that it would be so hard to attempt to cut through it, but nah, that mug, if you got a good knife, it'll just split. And I remember the aftertaste giving me a little bit of problems, but celery root, I like it. It's good. If I see it again at the grocery store, I'm buying it. But jicama, I don't know why. I haven't messed with it yet. Probably because I don't like the external texture. It's kind of smooth from what I remember. It's a grainy kind of smooth. It's I don't know. I don't know. I need to hold it again. But when I held it, it wasn't speaking to me. So I'm like, I probably shouldn't mess with you. But the moment I held the celery root in my hands, I knew I was onto something. And I loved it. I ate it like that, raw, straight from the root. It was. I had to get used to the texture a little bit because it has like that bumpy texture to it, but it was good. I just remember it was good. Yucca is different but similar. Yucca stays softer than cassava after a while. Yucca has more of a plantain texture with veins. Cassava has more of a sweet potato texture with no veins. Huh, I'll have to try them. I feel like now that I'm older and I have tried some weird things, I shouldn't be as, what is it, chicken out as much from stuff like that. But when I was a kid, there was just no way anybody could have made me eat these things, like veggies and roots and all that. And not if it's not a potato, I don't want it. And I used to absolutely detest mashed potatoes. I could not mess with mashed potatoes. If my potatoes were not fried or baked, stuffed with cheese and broccoli, and just a tad bit of butter, I wasn't interested. And I have not forgotten that I meant to make a video on how I load my baked potato. I haven't forgotten. It's just a little bit of a project for me since it involves certain steps. I just need to gather my ingredients and of course, more importantly, have the time for it. Cuz look at me now. I'm streaming way past midnight. So, like in the daytime it's difficult for me to do stuff like that, but I haven't forgotten that I have a pending baked potato video. You just have to trust me that it's coming. I'm not sure when it's coming, but it's coming. Let's see. They are both different but equally yummy. I'll have to take your word for it. Well, I guess this became a food discussion because I haven't really gone back to the questions from the survey for the past hour. But anyway, the next question that was coming up was, oh, that's tough. Could you live without the internet? For me personally, I remember a time in which I did not have as much internet exposure. Like early 2000s, maybe 2003 ish. That's when the internet became a part of my household. But the kind of connection we had back then meant maybe it was dial up or something. It meant that if you were connected to the internet, you could not receive landline calls. So my exposure would have been limited anyway. And honestly, when I used to use computers back then, it was mostly to play the Wild Tangent games. um, Me surfing the internet was more reserved for school. Like, say I have an assignment or I am learning about how to use a computer, but internet exposure, it wasn't really a thing for me until around 2006. More so 2007. I remember 2007 more actively. Back then, I created my first social media account. It was MySpace. And I remember using YouTube back then. Like, my cousin was telling me about it. He was like, if you go to this website called youtube.com, you can watch other people play games like Dragon Ball, Devil May Cry. And I'm like, oh, that is neat. Never in a million years would I have imagined that I would be able to watch someone else who I haven't personally met playing their games. I knew that you could record things. Like, I used to record movies here and there when they would come on cable, but not video games. I never thought about that. But to answer the question, could I live without the internet? I want to say that I could, for I did so fairly recently. I went from 2014, early 2014, until late 2015 without much internet connection because I had broken my computer. And after that, I moved to a different apartment. And economically, we were kind of tight. So we were trying to cut back on as much spending as possible. So we never really implemented or reinstalled home internet. And I remember I wasn't struggling so much with ways to keep myself entertained. The only thing that I would do that I just needed was to stay on top of the weather, because watching TV to find a channel that happens to be going over the weather, it was kind of mildly annoying. So I had my little iPod, third generation iPod, and if I was out in public and the place had Wi-Fi, I would connect just to see what the forecast was about. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be cold this week, so I need to make plans for that. It's going to be hot, it's going to rain, etc., etc. And of course, at some point, I had to check my email. The toughest part about it was to not be able to have to stay in touch with the people who I was regularly used to being in touch with, who live really far away from me. And at the time, I did not have unlimited texting. But eventually, when I got my iPhone, which is my first smartphone ever, the iPhone 6 Plus, I said to myself, I can see why these gadgets are so essential. And the beauty about the internet is how, if you have a question about anything, you can get answers instantly without really having to browse through books, or say if it's stormy outside, you don't need to like drive to the library to find a book for for you to dig up the information you're looking for. If you want to read up on something about history, you can look it up. If you want to find recipes, you no longer need to buy a cookbook. You can go online and get ideas, or even watch videos on, techniques on how to prepare something. So honestly, I could live without the internet, but I would rather not. As much of my time as it consumes, um, now that I have established some things with it, not having it would be pretty disadvantageous. Like, I keep track of my money that way. Like, I check my bank activity once a day, twice sometimes. I pay bills this way. Like, I don't have to stand in line anymore. I don't have to go somewhere and purchase a money order. I don't have to have a checkbook and have stamps and mail it in, old school shit like that. It seems so dated. So I like the speed of the internet. Like certain processes that would have taken you probably a whole day to do is so easy. And at some point, you could pay by phone as well. But honestly, me paying over the phone, I don't consider that very safe. So I find it that doing those things over the internet is so much better, especially if you can avoid the convenience fees. Sometimes over the internet, some places will charge you if you pay with a card. You need to link your bank account, like use your routing number. I don't know what that is about, but I guess convenience fees have to do with the bookkeeping aspect of it, I guess. I'm not sure. But as a person who is more integrated with the modern way of doing things, like my direct deposit, keeping track of my bank activity, and communicating with certain people, like there are some people who I would not be able to chat with on the phone if I did not have the internet, because some of these people live in Europe. So there is no way that I would be spending so much money buying a plan with international calls, you know? So the fact that I can use my cell phone and get all of this done anywhere I go is amazing. And the internet, of course, has its negative aspects, especially how much entertainment is available to you, and therefore that translates into wasted time. But at the same time, if you're smart about how you use the internet, this can give you opportunities to achieve things that you otherwise probably wouldn't. Like for me personally, there is no way I could have aspired to own a business or create a little bit of a business if it weren't for the internet. Like me selling my clothes, me having to like canvas and look at people and be like, "Hi, I see that you like leggings. I have these leggings that I don't wear. Would you like to purchase them from me?" That is so like such a dinosaur way of doing things. Whereas with the internet, I can reach such a huge audience in very little time. Whereas if you had to go by foot and like print posters and stuff and whatnot, like how long would that take? It just seems so inefficient. And of course, one of my favorite things is that I don't have to handle as much cash. I'm not a big fan of cash now. I usually maybe have a couple of dollars, maybe what I tend to spend in a day on lunch, just in case my card just fails. Or I have been to grocery stores where their terminal just quits on them because they lose internet connection, and then they cannot take credit or debit transactions. So I'm like, oh, what a time to be alive. I have cash on my wallet. But yeah, I want to say that I would not be able to live with the internet only because I would not be able to sustain this level of comfort. But I do have experience living in a time in which the internet was not around. So if it were to like be gone for extended periods of time, I would know what to do with my life, whereas people from the early 2000s probably might not. Or like, you know, the new generation of people who are becoming old enough to officially have kids, you know. Kids as in you are of mature age, not adolescent pregnancy and whatnot. You know, like what do you know about managing a home, managing your finances, right? So I want to say that no, I could not live in a world without the internet, only because, like I said, the level of comfort that the internet helps me to experience, I would not be able to sustain it if I did not have the internet. Um, let's see, where am I at? I am different. I love potatoes so much. I can put a baked potato in half, put some salt in the middle, and eat it whole. Folding cash. I could live without the internet. It will hurt for a while with no Pornhub, but that means I would have to go outside and get married ASAP. Oh, that's funny. When it comes to sources of entertainment, I have become increasingly spoiled with discovering new music. So to live in a world in which I would only know the music that comes on the radio, it would be painful because, oh my God, have you guys been aware of what kind of music trends these days? It is absolutely not my jam. So with the internet, at least I can discover the sounds that I'm more inclined, like the arrangement of sounds that I am more inclined to mess with. And you also get to experience stuff from other countries. Like, um, I have become fond of Dutch music bands. And I'm like, wow, had it not been for the internet, I would have never heard about this. And I also like to sometimes explore other things. Sometimes I look up French music, like especially Parisian cafe kind of music. If you guys know what that means. If you don't, it might be worth to just look it up and it'll be better experienced for yourself than any explanation I can possibly offer. And then sometimes I look up music from Africa as well. I'm looking for something with percussion and whatnot. What could possibly give me this? And one time I was at an Indian restaurant and I liked some of the stuff that I was listening to. So I went on YouTube and I looked up Indian music, and now I have it on my watch later. It's like an hour worth of different tracks. And another thing I have become fond of is rural Chinese music. There's a song that has to do with like Imperial Dynasty something something, that was the title of it. And I'm like, wow, I like this tune. Flutes. And yeah, it sold. You guys would have to just look it up, and it's better for you to perceive it than to try to hear me explain it. But yeah, the internet, not having the internet would deprive me of so many experiences with entertainment, especially music. That's really what I tend to spend most of my time in the internet doing, just browsing and browsing, that I would be so sad. Especially the covers that people make. I am a huge fan of harp covers. They are amazing. I always thought the piano was my way to go for instrumentals or renditions. Nope, nope, try the harp. Harp is amazing. The harp is probably one of the most underrated musical instruments. Like, when was the last time you had a conversation with someone about the harp? So, for me, I have been going out of my way to see if anyone has done a cover of songs that I already like their original versions, and see what people are up to. And also, you get to see just how fucking talented people are. Like, you're so used to what the mainstream feeds you, and that you just miss out on other people's creativities. Like, let's call them average people. Just because you're not a celebrity, you don't get discovered. The internet makes it possible for you to discover others. Like you guys, all of you know me because of the internet. And I know all of you guys because of the internet. So to imagine a life in which I missed out on this opportunity and all the knowledge that I have gathered because of this, because of you, it's scary. Like maybe at some point in my life, someone would have supplied me with this info, but the fact that I got it much earlier than my grandparents could have probably dreamt of, then that makes me proud, you know? But at the same time, like I said, the internet does have its negative things, which is if you're not careful, you waste too much of your time. And time is precious. And unfortunately, I am guilty of wasting a lot of it online. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just look up bullshit that is not really helping me learn anything. It's not expanding my knowledge. It's just entertainment. And there are some skills that I have learned because of the internet. But if you're not careful, your life can very easily waste away in this. And you just don't go out as much. You don't try to travel as much. And it seems like the internet artificially replaces your interests, if that makes sense. Like, say, if you would have aspired to travel to another country, you're like, let me look it up. And then somehow you feel satisfied virtually visiting it. No, I don't think that you can replace the actual act of you going to another country and visiting and seeing what that life is about. Um, just like for me personally, I don't like to experience the states being told to me. If it's within my driving capability, I will visit the place. But say museums, if you read up about them, it's not quite as good as you physically being there. So that's what I worry about with the internet. That some people's resources are limited, and I guess it is great that you have the internet to sort of experience some of this stuff, but again, maybe you get too spoiled and too comfortable with the internet that you no longer aspire for the actual experience. So the internet, it's good if you're wise with it. Just like Uncle Ben says, with great power comes great responsibility. So I guess the internet gives you a lot of power, but you need to be responsible with it. That's the best way I can sum it up. Let's see. I stray away from music nowadays. Music has been negatively affecting my mood. Really? I think I might need to create music to help me balance my brain's reaction to sounds. You know, what the internet has helped me realize is that songs that are an abomination, like, let's call it what's popular now, the pop genre in the present, that stuff is painful. It'll very easily make your ear bleed. Like, no question about it. But when you go online and you see what people are doing with it, the kind of covers that people are doing, like, say, piano covers, harp covers, um, guitar covers, they can turn shit into gold. I can tell you that much. Or other times, they completely do a remix of it. There is this channel called Trap Nation. They tend to do more dubsteppy kinds of covers. Sometimes they really, really do a good job. Other times it's not really my type of thing. But I have a great appreciation for the things that people do with music. Like, you take something that it's completely unlistenable and you turn it into something cool and fun, and I just love that. It just reminds me that there is so much talent in this planet that goes unacknowledged, and it is a damn shame. So the internet is giving these people an opportunity to experience some of that. This is my hobby, this is something I like to do, and the internet makes it possible. Whereas, let's say that I somehow became a really good storyteller. Like, I can do research and I can put my opinion together and present it here very professionally. someone out there is going to look down on me because they're going to say, you never went to college. You cannot possibly aspire to be a journalist. And I'm like, well, you went to college. You don't have integrity. And you clearly are in this just for your paycheck. Whereas some of us, we may be serious about telling a story. We may be serious about trying to feed people information that we will admit is biased, but at least the viewer does not have to question our intentions. Let's say that this is a very severely liberal channel. Let's make it a partisan issue. If you guys know up front that I have more liberal tendencies, then you will not have to point that out to me. But because I do not declare any affiliation to any party, like I cannot say that I am what is it, conservative, and I cannot say that I'm liberal because I'm mixed. And I'm pretty sure that most people can say that they're mixed, but for me, I honestly do not tend to have an inclination for anything. There are some things that I am severely conservative about, and you wouldn't guess that about me. But at least you don't have to pretend to be unbiased when deep down you are biased, especially you as an individual telling a story. Your feelings and opinions at some point are going to creep into your work. And what I have issues with is when you try to deny it. No, don't deny it. Just be sincere about it, you know? That is what I like about the internet. The internet gives me an opportunity to think more independently. I know that I can see both sides of an argument more extensively. Whereas if I rely on the mainstream media, whatever it is that they feed me, that's all I have. Whereas with the internet, I can look up so many different points of view, and some points of view that conflict with each other when they shouldn't be conflicting with each other. So, yeah, now that I have been spoiled with this to live in a world in which that's no longer possible for me, it would hurt. So, in a sense, I don't want the internet to go anywhere, but at the same time, sometimes I do think that the internet needs to be regulated. Like the time you spend on it should be regulated, but at the same time, no, because for some people this works, and you don't have a right to take that away from them. I can never travel the world. I am from the Caribbean and lived in America. I am a truck driver and been to all 48 states in the mainland. I never realized that I actually hate people. I'd rather be stationary. If it makes you feel better, I hate people too. But honestly, when I am good with people, I am good with people. Some people can truly be beautiful. There are some real gems out there, but it is the people who unnecessarily make life complicated that I have issues with. Like, some people are just useless and helpless, and it frustrates me because I feel like they steal my energy. They steal my joy with their negativity. And if you're a negative person, look, I know that the world can be a shitty place, but the world also has its nice stuff. You're telling me that nothing out there is cool to you? You don't have any hobbies? You don't have anything to look forward to? Like, those kinds of people, those are the ones who worry me. Because I'm like, come on, how can you be negative all the time? I know that sometimes I come here to the channel and I'm just ranting and venting and bitching, and it's like, God, Zam, when the hell do you have a nice day? Every day is a potential nice day for me, but sometimes I have something to say. Sometimes I have something to bitch and complain about, and you guys relate. Other times you're like, nah, you're exaggerating, and I'm like, all right, well, those are my feelings, and I'm sure that you have your feelings. But there are some people who just stay stuck in a negative mindset, and I'm thinking, Look, man, life can be a tragedy for some people, but you can turn that around. And if I don't see that you're putting the effort to turn it around, that's when I have problems. And that's when I say I fucking hate people. Especially if you're that person who comes up to, say, customer service, and you just give that person a hard time because you know that they're in a position where they cannot defend themselves. Come see me when I'm not on the clock. See what happens. But when people try to take advantage of you because they know that you cannot defend yourself, why are you deliberately going out of your way to make this other person's life more difficult than it needs to be? You know, that is when I say I hate people, because I cannot imagine being that way. You know, I'm not that way. The only time I get upset about an experience, I immediately let the person know, hey, I understand you work here, you're just a representative, you don't make the rules, but I would like for you to pass this along to the corresponding authority, because I think that this is a very shitty practice that you're conducting right now. And then they're like, we understand. And sometimes people want to work with me because of how cool, calm, and collected I am about things that happen to me. Now, if it's becoming a pattern that I go to an establishment and I'm always having issues, I'm like, okay, what the hell am I spending money on? Get it together. And I may escalate the situation. But for the most part, I'm like chill. And usually people want to reward my chill behavior. And I'm like, that's not necessary. But other times I'm like, okay, if it's something you want to do for me, that's fine. But yeah, negative people, I think I just don't know how to handle them because I'm not a negative person. So maybe if I found a way to extend my patience to deal with these people, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. Maybe I would never say I hate people. But maybe it's still my young mind being impatient, and I need to develop a little more, experience a little more. But eh, negative people have been something I avoid like the plague since I was a teen. So why would I change when I'm older? I think that the older I get, it's more apparent that I am trying to spare myself from those kinds of influences, those kinds of people. So I cannot imagine waking up one day and being like, I'm going to be a people person. I'm going to love people. I'm going to be absolutely patient with them, no matter how negative they are. And yeah, I'm going out of my way for that. It ain't gonna happen. It probably ain't gonna happen like that. Um, the more people I meet, the more I give up hope in humanity and cannot stand society. People traveling to another country just. Wait, people traveling. Sorry. People traveling to another country will just change me. I have a strong feeling it will be for the worse. I only have one more country change before I get settled and never move or travel again. My soul cannot deal with global society or multiple societies. People take kindness as weakness. Yes, I have gotten that treatment so much, and maybe that's the reason why I have changed my personality a little bit. It's not like I'm significantly different, like my spirit is pretty much the same as I have known it. But yeah, for some reason people just want to walk all over you when you display kindness that's consistent. We all know that person who they seem to be unbreakable. They're always smiling, they're always sweet and kind, but sometimes they reach the point when they've just had enough, and then when you're at the back of the house, they finally show like a different side of them, and you're like, whoa, are you the same person? And then you're like, yeah, I'm the same person. It's just that this person really like tried me. And I'm like, oh, gotcha. You're just as human as I am. I love it when that happens. Sometimes I have had colleagues who I have known for the longest time, and they never break. They're always smiling. And then all of a sudden, one day, they vent to me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You're always happy. There's no way you're ever considering taking over the world. No, no, you're always happy. You're always sweet. No, this is another person's story who you're telling me, you know, about. So, but yeah, you discover that people can be similar to you, especially if you share something like a career and whatnot. And I love it. It's like you become kindred spirits, like it was meant to be. Yep, society has turned into a cesspool of spiritual vampires. I cannot deal with the able beggars, the social media, the host over there, the SJW, and all the other people in society who's just aggressively annoying. I can relate to that, especially with the SJWs, because I can see what they're trying to do, but sometimes I cannot sympathize with them because I feel like they are coming more from a position of entitlement as opposed to a position of legitimate need. Especially when we're trying to fight for new so called rights. And I'm like, you already have those. But if you're not reaping the benefits of them, maybe it's because you're not eligible. And honestly, that's my biggest issue. When you are coming from a place where you feel like you're entitled to things just for the sake of being entitled to it. Um, and then when it comes to the thought culture, I'm thinking, why? Where does that come from? Why are we craving so much of that attention? But then when I think about it, this is a very youth obsessed society, and therefore you get all kinds of people who participate in things like enhancements, plastic surgery. I guess that can be classified as enhancements, but also people who are so hell bent on becoming famous just so you become celebrated, and you do not want to accept that you are still human, flesh, blood, bone, sinew, and like you just forget, and you just refuse to age gracefully. Like you remain obsessed about being a young person forever, and you just need to accept that at some point this stuff just fades, and that's okay. But the longer you postpone that and you refuse to accept that, you're gonna have some shitty experiences. Your prospect, yeah, bad news for you. but but yeah, this society that we live in which we're celebrating other people's image too much, like, oh, look at the life that I'm living, I'm that traveler. Look at the life that I'm living, I'm the person who was able to marry way beyond my league. If those are your values, that's fine. But if you expect for everybody to value the same things that you do, I think that's where the clashes come from. And that's why we as a society are really divided. Um, Especially with my experience whenever I'm at work and I try to have a conversation with, say, other females, and they're constantly telling me, why do you not straighten your hair? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that my curls were unacceptable. Or maybe you should wear makeup, like for instance, try to conceal the scar or something. They don't tell me that often, but it has come up, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not telling you to do something about the puffiness in your skin because you are smoking too much, right? just to name an example. Or, you look like a damn cake. I'm not telling you that. Maybe my skin looks fresher than yours because I make better choices. Uh, I cannot stand that. This is a society that worships so much phony stuff. And I hate it. I hate it. So maybe that is part of the frustration that you're experiencing. Um, let's see. SJW made me give up on that lame Steam media. It is not you. I am just tired of opening up my hand and people taking with their hand empty, but will never open their hands when mine is empty to give. It gets old. We just need to move on. I can relate to that so much because just today I needed a little bit of help with something incredibly petty. It was someone was already somewhere where they could have picked up something for me and saved me the trip and saved me some time tomorrow, which is my today now. And they were working so hard at coming up with excuses to not help me. And I'm like, motherfucker, if only you would put the same amount of effort that you are putting into coming up with excuses to not assist me with this very simple task, you would have succeeded at it already and you would have helped me. But you're going out of your way, coming up with excuses that it just fucking drives me bonkers, you know? And I'm thinking, wow, if it were me coming up with legitimate excuses to not be able to help you, then I'm the monster. I'm the bitch. I'm the asshole. I'm the inconsiderate bastard. Or, all those things. And I'm like, I find refuge in the fact that I am working my little ass off so hard that hopefully the Lord will bless me with granting me the ability to move on to live a better life. And that's what I'm just eager for. But at the same time, I also accept that it is possible that all of my efforts are in vain. But at least I'll be satisfied that I gave it my all and I was able to reap some of the benefits of it. And it was mostly independent. Like the assistance that I get from those involved in my personal life is like limited to nothing. That the sole fact that I have achieved so much, mostly by myself, it's a great source of pride because I didn't think I was capable of all that. So maybe I will not be able to live like to move on to that so-called better life that I'm, anticipating, but again, I will feel proud that when everyone needed me, I was there for them and people only gave me their 10%. And I'm like, "All right, I can give you my 1000%. You only give me your 10%. That's fine. I'm not going to keep a score because I don't have enough pages in my agenda for that, but just be the best human that you can be, and eventually someone out there will take a notice and they will respect you for it. I thought that I would never meet people who respect me, and fortunately I have some people in my personal circle who do, and I can feel it. Unfortunately, they're not within reach, like for me to be like, yeah, let's establish a life together and whatnot, right? Like, you can't have it all. But at least the sole fact that these people exist and I know that they're there and they prove to me every day how genuine they are, I satisfy myself with that. And of course, I have you guys here. But yeah, I really hope that this is not how old times were. Like, I have thought about this before, which is before the internet, before you could travel, before you had your own transportation, whatever village you were born in, that's all you knew. How was life back then? Was it this frustrating, or was the mental capacity of the time just, it did not allow for you to think outside of that box, if you know what I mean? So maybe people did not struggle so bad like we tend to do in modern days, which is, how do you explain that you're connected it's so easy for you to find information, to connect with other people, but you still feel alone. You still feel like your connections are not meaningful. Was that something that happened with frequency in older times? Because I feel like in older times, we had our communication game dominated. Because otherwise, how were all of these advancements possible? People had to collaborate. And in order to collaborate, you had to be good about communicating your ideas. You know? So I cannot help but wonder. I guess I have to set aside some time to research how people's interpersonal skills were back then, but I'm pretty sure that people were not struggling with basic stuff like we are now. Let's see. Hello, Chris. Want a fairy tale story. A beauty trophy wife to me is the last thing I want in a wife. I want personality and comparability first. Looks is just a pretty thing to value in a mate, in my opinion. We love and respect you. Just keep thinking and formulating your goals. Your mind is always on autopilot. Yes. Don't give up on what you want for yourself in the future. Life has a lot of obstacles. Just don't give up on moving forward. Definitely not. There have been so many times in which I have told myself, oh fuck, I think it's time to quit. But right when I'm about to draw what feels like my last breath at something that I'm doing, that's when all the blessings start raining upon me. And then all of a sudden, I get that burst of energy again and I get back to focusing. I love that so much. It always happens at the most opportune time, it never fails. So that's why I like to say that I am spiritually inclined. It is moments like that that really reinforce my faith. The old days were more open minded, more learning, but God knows the way of life. The beautiful thing of the human brain is that when you are not actively thinking, your brain is moving you forward and making actions for you based on your soul's energy. This is why humans are sometimes impulsive. That is so true, and it makes so much sense because sometimes you think, how is it that after you have 8 hours average of sleep, you can just wake up and pick up where you left off? It, to me, that's a miracle. It's like magic. Well, you guys, it is officially past 2 a.m. for me. I don't want to be rude, but your girl should definitely consider hitting the hay. Because now, I guess I should say tonighter, it's gonna suck for me to sleep since I have been going to bed so late. But it's all been worth it because we've been here, we've been hanging out, we've been having these great discussions. But yeah, it is time for me to get some sleep. So thank you guys for tuning in. This was a pretty cool topic. I had no idea it would turn into this. This was primarily a food topic for about an hour, but then it turned into internet stuff, which is cool. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I certainly did. Have a blessed night. Take care. Nice talking to you and everybody. Great stream. You made me have more faith in humanity. That means the world to me. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Let's get some sleep.